were you thinking, you fucking idiot? I'm a fucking wedding singer! Oh my God. Oh no, what's happening? Oh God. Why did I sign up for Fringe? Imagine not having control of your emotions. A full-grown adult having a meltdown like a toddler. That's what it's like to have complex PTSD. I've probably had this most of my life, but I didn't get diagnosed until I was 53. When I was little, I was full of hope. I believed in Tinkerbell. I thought I'd marry Donny Osmond and become a famous ballerina. That didn't happen, but I did audition for the part of the Sugar Plum Fairy in the 4th grade Christmas show. I didn't get it. Apparently, they do not have adult size 11 ballet slippers for kids. Who knew? I'd like to say that was the worst thing that ever happened to me. But the truth is, I grew up neglected and abused for most of my childhood. At age 6, I attempted suicide twice. When I was 8, I went into my first foster home, and by the time I was 13, I was a ward of the state. I went through a lot of trauma for a very long time. And I thought it was my fault. That false belief led me to some really dark places. Before I had my diagnosis and treatment for complex PTSD, I only had one thing: the bottle. There I was, sitting behind the wheel of my car, face full of airbag. The year was 2016, but I was mentally stuck in the year 1979. 1979 is the year I learned to use alcohol to deal with my trauma. And it worked for a little while. What happened? You just hit a car! You sorry excuse for a human! You drove drunk again! You idiot!
That's the negative voice inside my head. I named him Rudy because he's rude! That was the night of my second DUI. Before I had the tools to deal with my emotions, alcohol was my coping weapon of choice. This is the burden I carried. When I was in foster care, I had the funniest luggage available. A black trash bag. I carried this one into adulthood. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my trash bag of trouble!
Anybody want to see what's in it?
Yeah? You gotta know it's gonna be interesting with me, right? It's been a while. Fringe thing is really tiring, and I hope you don't mind, but I just need a little snack. Gets me every time. Okay, it's gonna get better, I swear. Okay. This one. Who has this as a trauma? Anybody? It's like, yeah, I'm smart. Okay, never can figure it out. Pisses me off every time a little kid walks up and solves it in like 30 seconds. I feel so stupid. Oh my God, what am I gonna do? This reminds me of somebody. My mother. I could never figure that one out either. Okay, group trauma time. Dana, 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 Dana. Why did they take me to see Jaws when I was 10 years old? I used to like swimming. Oh. Hey girl, hey, how's it going? Thanks for the body issues, Barbie. Also, when I was a little kid, I used to think I had to find some way to remove my nipples. That's next year's Fringe show, Naome's Nipples. 2023, it's sold out already, all right. Okay, let's see here. Oh. To all the balls I've had to endure. Get it? They're balls, like dudes. Never mind. All right, here we go. This represents all my abusers, the boogeyman that haunted me in my dreams into adulthood. Let's say we get rid of this motherfucker. What do you say? Yeah. Die! 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 Yeah! I carried this trash bag of trauma into adulthood. I was a grown-ass woman, mother of 3, and yet every time I got triggered, which was a lot, I turned into the frightened, feral child I was in 1979. That internal voice, Rudy, would say,
"It's all your fault. No one cares about you. Why can't you do anything right?"
That voice would send me into a spiral I couldn't control. I tried to forget what happened to me by binge drinking and inventing new versions of myself with wigs, costumes, weight loss. I went through so many cycles. Get married, get married, get married, have a baby, go on vacation, have another baby. I actually thought that having children would give me the unconditional love that I'd always been searching for. And it worked. For a little while. Then my girls learned how to say no. Despite wanting to be a mom more than anything in the world, I just didn't know how to be a mom.
That's because your mother didn't want you. You weren't worthy of her love.
I grew up without a mom. She lost custody of me when I was 5. And then she took off, left town. She was gone.
I remember is the mania of her burning anger and how it destroyed everything it touched. The cycles of depression. I remember how she would always forget things. Like Halloween, my first day of kindergarten, to feed me. I remember how she yelled at me when I tried to tell her about the babysitter's son. He pulled down my bloomers. And then I was only 4. I wish I could remember one good thing about my mother. All I remember is yelling and screaming, words as weapons, sharp as knives. You had no chance, and then you were gone. Your shadow was there while you ran away. Silence deafens, trapped in time. I wondered why you didn't stay. By then you were gone. Gone, gone, gone. How'd it go so wrong? Gone, gone, gone. What did I do wrong? Gone, gone, gone. So far gone. Traveling, traveling, traveling. You went down every road. Baggage dragging right behind you. Yeah, a pretty heavy load. But every time I look in the mirror, every time I sing a song, I think of you and wonder how it all went wrong. Gone, 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 long gone. Gone, 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 why'd you have to run? Gone, gone, gone. I've got to solve the mystery and find your source of pain, so I can finally love myself and learn to live again. But you're gone. Gone, gone, long gone. Gone, gone, gone. What did I do wrong? Gone, gone, gone.
Oh, great job, Naomi. The show is so depressing. Everyone wants to leave.
This hot flash break brought to you by Menopause. Shut up, Rudy. You don't know me. It took me over 50 years, but I finally made the commitment to walk towards the ghosts of my past. Every Monday for 2 years, my therapist and I processed 26 memories from my childhood using EMDR therapy. And that gave me the understanding that it's not what's wrong with you, it's what happened to you. That is life-changing if you're somebody like me. So I'll say it again. It's not what's wrong with you. It's what happened to you. So, I wanted to know, what happened to my mother? To find out what happened to my mother, I had to understand what happened to her mother, Marie. And to understand my grandmother, Marie, I had to research the whole damn family tree. So, I gave my spit to 23andMe, and I fell down the rabbit hole of genealogy. And I discovered that my mother's family came from the mountains of New Hampshire and settled in Campton, New Hampshire in 1902. My people were logging camp people, living in tar paper shacks. Cool. My great-great-grandmother, Delia Como, was the camp cook. And Daisy grew up fast. Her job as a little kid was filling bullet casings with gunpowder. That was the family side hustle, making illegal bullets. And it was going well, I suppose, until one day the bullets exploded. And my great-great-grandmother Daisy lost 3 of her fingers. She was 8 years old. After that, Daisy went to work in the kitchen. She ended up marrying a 31-year-old man when she was 15 years old. Her daughter, Eva, was my great-grandmother. And Eva fought and drank like her brothers. And she raised my grandmother, Marie, the way she was raised, in chaos and neglect. When my grandmother, Marie, was little, her mom, Eva, got drunk at a wake and put little Marie inside of a coffin and locked it overnight. The dead body was still inside. After that, my grandmother started to refer to herself as Mary. Up on the mountain, fighting and fucking was the norm. Cousins or siblings, it's all the same on the mountain. They'd gather together around the fire with fiddles and spoons and jugs of moonshine. And they'd pound down the moonshine until they fell down, got in a fight, or got somebody pregnant. As a young teen, my grandmother had 2 girls. But then, a few years later, she decided to go to Boston for a talent show. And she got first prize. That was all it took for her to leave her young family for the promise of stardom. My mom was about 4 years old when she was abandoned. That's about the same age I was when she abandoned me. She was placed in foster care, and she spent the rest of her life chasing after the one thing that she could never have, her mother's love. Meanwhile, in the bright lights of Boston, Mary spent her evenings as a lounge singer in the 1-2-3 lounge. She reinvented herself yet again, this time as a jet-setting diva named Naya Dathia. Naya Dathia was a made-up name. once, in person. She did not want me to call her Grandma. Musa was the name she requested. She said it meant beautiful one in Spanish.
It definitely does not.
Finally, Rudy and I agreed on something. We met in a Chinese restaurant in Nashville, Tennessee. Come along, no photographs, she said. The Dragon Garden was your typical Chinese restaurant. Low-hanging lanterns, small black booths. Way back in the corner sat a tiny old lady with long gray hair. I thought she looked like a witch. When she stood up, she barely came up to my navel. Hello, Naomi. What? I didn't know that was my grandmother until she said my name. But from the get-go, it was clear. I was in for a performance, and I was completely okay with that. I fell in love with my grandma that day with her wild stories. You know, Naomi, I've dated a lot of famous men, like when I dated Bill. She's talking about William Shatner. Oh, yes, Bill. He was so very handsome, but not a lot upstairs. A real thoroughbred, if you know what I mean. Out of curiosity, I actually asked William Shatner if that was true. It was my first day on Twitter. Hey, Captain Kirk! Did you sleep with my grandma?
Of course you did.
Captain Kirk said he did not sleep with a woman named Naya or date a lady named Mary or Musa or any of the other names my grandma made up. After Bill, there was Rocky Marciano. You know, the famous boxer. He was married, so we had to be careful. What a troglodyte he turned out to be. Got a little too handsy one night, so I had a few of my friends teach him a lesson. You know, that is not the first or last time that my grandma referenced being close to the mob. Can you believe the audacity of athletes? One night, Ted Williams, you know, the Boston Red Sox great, he came into my lounge and put his big old mitts on me. Ha! What a mistake that was. The bouncer drug him out by his big ears. The whole time, he was bellowing, "You think you're better than me, don't you?" Why, yes, Teddy, I do. It's me, babe. You know, that afternoon with my grandma, she did not mention my mom one time. Story after story, and it was as if my mom didn't even exist. But can I blame my grandmother? She was just continuing the cycle of generational trauma. You know what? Despite not really knowing my grandmother or my mother, we actually ended up living very similar lives. All three of us became singers professionally. All three of us had a lot of trouble with relationships. And all three of us desperately wanted our mother's love.
World keeps spinning and I'm hanging on by the skin of my teeth. All the pieces of my life keep falling with me underneath. Every day I have to reinvent myself. Who's gonna save me when I'm calling for help? Help, help, sisters, strangers. The mother of my own foolish pride, daughter of anger. I just keep on living to decide the woman inside. Helter skelter is a normal part of my everyday. Roll the dice and then I'll find the person that I'll be today. Every day I have to reinvent myself. Who's gonna save me when I'm calling for help? Help, help, sisters, strangers. The mother of my own foolish pride, a daughter of anger. I just keep on living to decide the woman inside. I'm reaching out, I'm calling for help. I need to begin by loving myself. A sister to strangers, the mother of my own foolish pride, a daughter of anger. I just keep on living inside, a daughter of anger. Ooh, I just keep on living.
I have learned that blame has no place in healing. It just isn't possible for me to love myself and heal myself without finding some kind of love for my mother. The fact is, my mother didn't choose her mental illness or the addiction genes she carried. She actually did the best that she could with what she had at the time. That was very hard for me to accept. But if I'm honest, I hurt my children too. Of course, I love them. They didn't really have a mom. I didn't know how to be a role model or teach them how to deal with their emotions. Mom is supposed to soothe their children and comfort them when they need it. But my daughters had to cry themselves to sleep. And I was there, but not there. Because I was in the next room drunk, passed out. It got so bad at the end that I was wrestling my daughters in the backyard. They pinned my drunk ass to the grass to stop me from running away. To The fact is that I stole their childhood from them. And there's nothing I can do to give it back. All of us deserve to be a child, but didn't get a childhood. All of us, from my great-great-grandmother Daisy, all the way down to my daughters, deserve to be a child again. Living life without a care, playing truth or double dare, looking back on yesterday, I remember how to play, yelling, catch me if you can, think there is a boogeyman, I believe in Tinkerbell, and have lemonade to sell. I wanna be a child again, have an imaginary friend. I wanna be a child again. Why, oh, why can't I wanna be a child again? You can too, just take my hand. I wanna be a child again. Why, oh, why can't I? We will run everywhere we go, live on Kool-Aid and Cheerios, build a fort up in the trees, set the way for sea monkeys. Saturday we'll watch cartoons and dream of walking on the moon. We'll forget to wear our shoes, wonder why the sky is blue. I wanna be a child again, have an imaginary friend. If I could be a child again, I would fly. I wanna be a child again. You can too, just take my hand. I wanna be a child again. Why, oh, why can't I believe I could fly beyond that rainbow? But I always seem to come crashing down. But beyond the stars, there's a place where I can be a child again, and I can fly. I wanna be a child again, have an imaginary friend. I wanna be a child again. Why, oh, why can't I wanna be a child again? You can too, just take my hand. I wanna be a child again. Why, oh, why can't I can't recreate my childhood, but part of the work I'm doing is meeting my inner child and giving her the love and acceptance that she's been looking for her whole life. I no longer blame myself or my mom for what happened to me. You know what? I'd like to say that I stopped the cycle of trauma, but I just interrupted it. Short of saving my children from the pain, they still had to go through that. But I hope that by doing the work and the healing, that I can give them a chance to actually break that cycle before they have children. That will be breaking the cycle of generational trauma. And then maybe one day, my daughters will forgive me too. My mother gave me some beautiful gifts. My green eyes, my voice, which literally saved my life. I see these gifts in my daughters each and every day, and I'm so grateful for that. Should I deny the gifts that my mother gave me because of her sins? That doesn't make sense to me. Or do I acknowledge that we are actually the same? We're both the walking wounded. I am a third-generation singer and a childhood trauma survivor. Today, I'm focused on loving myself and celebrating all of the beautiful gifts that my mom gave me. The rest, gone. Gone are the horrible coping mechanisms. Gone are the days of me abandoning myself emotionally and my daughters. Gone are the days of alcohol binges. I haven't had a drink since June 25th, 2019. Somebody else, not me. There's only one reason. I dealt with my childhood trauma. So I don't want to hurt myself anymore. And as a result, I'm hurting the people that I love a whole hell of a lot less. I've learned two really important things. The first is, I'm going to be walking this new path for the rest of my life. And I'm okay with that. And the second thing is, I don't walk alone.
But I'm still here.
Yep. Rudy's still here. But guess what? I talk back now. Yeah, and I'm kind of sassy. And my trash bag of trauma is still here. But it's a lot lighter now. And I have a community that helps me to carry it. Here's a super fun fact. Did you know that ass shaking is a part of my mental health therapy? That's right. 4 out of 5 therapists recommend ass shaking as part of a healthy therapy regimen. So I thought maybe for the last song, we could all get rid of some of this pent-up emotion and do some therapy, group therapy together by shaking our asses. What do you think, guys? I see you. I hear you. I recognize you. You're not lying anymore because we walk together and we can dance together too. But you gotta get up off your ass. Come on. I recognize you.
On your feet, Maxwell.
Stay.
Let me know.